Hey you guys, happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of our Friday Live. And I'm back at the office here this afternoon on Friday. And I wanted to hop in here today with a couple of announcements and then to answer the question, what is MYK? So first of all, thank you to everyone who came last night. I think that was our third in-person community event. We had our brand new certified functional health coach, Charisse, presenting on the topic of food as fuel. And I think we had 7 people come. This is a little plug to encourage you to come to the live events because I do record them, but every now and then there's technical difficulties. And I think the first video did come up already, but for some reason the second one is taking forever to upload from my phone. And I still have not been able to put them both together. I think that's a storage issue on my phone. So you're going to want to make sure you come to these live events. Hi, Sandy. She was there and she got to have some knowledge bombs dropped on her. Charisse gave a really valuable talk, really simplifying food. And there's a lot of buzzwords around, going around these days. And one thing that she has realized recently is in some of the questions that she gets asked, she's realized that because food has been talked about so much lately with all of the different buzzwords, it's almost like assumed that people know what you're talking about when you talk about eating clean or eating whole foods or eating, avoiding processed foods or, eating macros and what are they? And so she really just broke it down in a very simple manner for us and was very, very enjoyable. So those that came got to meet Charisse, who was not able to attend the open house. Allison was there as well, and so was Joy. So 3 of our 4 partners in health were there, and you'll get to meet Lindsay very, very soon. So I'm doing my best to get the replays up to you guys, but that is... stay tuned for more of the live community events. We are going to plan on having them the 3rd Thursday at 7 o'clock of each month. 3rd Thursday of each month at 7 o'clock. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Joy is going to be up next and she's going to share some personal training tips from her perspective. So what I want to talk about today is a treatment modality that we use here at Fit for Life. I have used personally myself for many years. The treatment technique is called MYK, and what that stands for is the myokinesthetic system. So I'm going to give you a couple definitions first that you could find if you look it up. And then I'm going to speak to you from my perspective and my heart about what it is, what it means, and what I have found it can do for our patients. So if you look up MYK, which, did I say this already? Myokinesthetic means muscle movement. That's how the words break down. MYK is a technique that treats both postural and movement imbalances at the spinal nerve root level. The goal of MYK is to balance posture and abolish pain by affecting the nervous system in a very specific way. It evaluates the root cause of pain within the nervous system, then rebalances it using muscle stretching and movements. It utilizes a full body postural assessment to detect compensations within the nervous system. So for those of you watching, for those of you who do catch the replay, comment below if you are or have been a patient of ours and we used MYK on you. Here is how I explain MYK to our patients. For those of you that have been a patient, very often in the first 1 or 2 sessions, I explain that there are 3 phases of working together with us here at Fit for Life. The first phase is pain management, getting control of the pain. We're trying to figure out, if you're coming in for pain, of course, what is the problem? What is the diagnosis? What can the patient do in particular to affect it or control it. So phase 1 is focused around, let's see if we can identify the source of the pain and get it under control. Phase 2 then, I call the root cause phase. And in this phase, we scan back from the area of pain and take a look at the whole person and the human body and the machine that it is, and try to identify issues that might be going on in the person that are perpetuating the problem. Now, that might be a weak core. That might be limited ankle movement from an old injury. That might be any myriad of things. And it is in this phase, as we look at the whole body, that we can also use MYK to look at the posture and sometimes even identify things that the patients don't recall as an injury or an event in their life, but the nervous system doesn't lie and doesn't forget. So that is where we would use MYK, is in this phase 2 treatment. And phase 1 may take a day or two to figure out. Phase 2 is going to take another few visits as well to kind of hash out. And then the third phase I call resiliency, or helping the patient be fit for life. By the end of a traditional plan of care, for most conditions you're going to come see us for, we're generally going to be around the 6 to 8 visit range, very generically. By the end of that time, we believe that we know just about everything there is to know about you to help you live your best fit life, and to whatever your goals are, to remain active, to be able to take care of your grandchildren, to be able to run the marathon that you're looking to run, to whatever it is that is important to you in your life. So those are the 3 phases. So the way I explain MYK, which is generally used on the 2nd or 3rd visit if we're going to incorporate this with our patients, is I tell patients, your brain and spinal cord is in charge of everything. And most people will agree with that. Your posture is an outward expression about what's going on in your nervous system. What does that mean? So your brain and your spinal cord, well, at every level of your spinal cord, they're branched off nerves that go out into the body, into the muscles. And so if there's interference, we'll just say, in the line, interference in the nerve line, then the messages going to those particular muscles from that level of the spine are just a little bit altered. And I like to compare this to the walls, the electrical walls, the wires in the walls that turn on our lights. This is often a helpful analogy. So, because people do often want to know, like, why does the muscle feel like that? Or why is my posture off? Why is my pelvis off? Where is it coming from? If you think about electricity and the electrical wires in your walls, the wires go from the switch up to the light bulb. If the electrical lines are healthy, and there's no interruption in that line, when you turn on the light switch, the light is going to turn on strongly. If something has happened and a little mouse got into the wall and has gnawed at the line, and there's interference in your wires, when you turn on the light bulb may flicker. That is, in a sense, precisely what happens if you have interference in your line, which comes from your spine, which could be any myriad of things. It could be poor posture, stress and strain, like everyday posture, stress and strain. It could be a disc issue. It could be an arthritic narrowing issue. It could be any myriad of things that causes a little irritation in the line. And then when that line goes to the muscle, it causes the muscle to flicker and either have abnormal posture or abnormal strength, abnormal flexibility, or whatnot. And so we will see that when we do this posture assessment. So we say posture doesn't lie. And so what we are trained to do with this assessment is to look at your posture from your head to your toes. We look at differences between left and right, and then we put it in this program, and it will come up with one or two of the most, we call it a primary posture, the nerves that are representing themselves the most frequently in your posture. And what we do then is we take you through a very specific movement exercise activity where we put the muscles in that nerve myotome, we call it a myotome, we put it on stretch, and every time that muscle's on stretch, we tap it. And what that does is it works as a rebalancing or a rebooting to the nervous system. Like I like to think about it like the Staples easy button. You know, you hit the button and it works as a reset to the nervous system. And what we see then after we do that is a balancing of your postures. So if your head was a little bit off when we looked at you and your shoulders were a little bit uneven and your forearms were turned in, we will see that improve over the course of the sessions. The ideal treatment frequency for MYK is to do 5 sessions within a 2-week period. Now, we don't generally always get that here at Fit for Life, but when we can, it is very, very helpful. And if we cannot, it just simply slows down the posture corrections because you have a little more time to fall back into the old posture if it's a week between each session. Your MYK treatments generally take anywhere from 6 minutes to 20, depending on which nerve it is and how many muscles are attached to that nerve. And so that is, in a nutshell, what MYK is. It is something that I use with most of my patients, and Raven is being trained on it. So if you're a patient of hers, you may experience that as well as she's learning the system and trying to implement it. And I'll tell you why I have found it helpful. It minimizes the work that I have to do on soft tissue, so it helps loosen up some of the imbalances in the muscles between left and right and front to back. It also has an impact on your pelvis. And what I have found is for many, many people who I've had 20 plus years of working on people's alignment in their pelvis and trying to straighten it out and keep it that way, and then they go back to life and living on this planet and muscles pull them back out of alignment. MYK, when it's done preventatively, which is at a once a month frequency, it really does help normalize posture imbalances left to right, and it keeps the pelvis more level. And I do believe that when the pelvis, which is the frame of your house, is level, you have even forces heading up and heading down. We say ascending forces, from the feet up, and descending forces from the head down. And the pelvis is literally the walls of your house. And so that is what MYK is from a definition perspective and then from a clinical perspective. So if you have any questions, please ask. But I just thought this would be a helpful video. We've talked a little bit in here about some of the other techniques and tools that we use. Raven has shared her Graston method and what manual therapy is. And MYK is one of the treatment modalities that we use here at Fit for Life that we do fully believe helps us keep you guys fit for life and gets to the root cause level. And it's something that we have the privilege to do here at our office because we have the time and the space to do it. So thank you guys so much for watching your Friday Live. Any questions, as always, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in the office next week or right back here next Friday for your weekly Facebook Live. Thanks, guys.